welcome to another JavaScript lesson. Today we're gonna learn while loops and we're gonna introduce them with a very simple example. We will try to create a while loop that prints numbers from 1 to 10. Very simple stuff, just to familiarize with the syntax. We'll go let number equals 1 and this is going to be the starting number, and then we'll go while, opening parenthesis, number is smaller or equal to 10. We go outside of the parentheses and we open curly brackets. We'll go console.log number and then we go number plus plus, and it loops in here until the number is 10. Let's just save and we see down in the console that indeed it printed all the numbers from 1 until 10. And if we write here 100 and save, it's gonna do it until the 100. So we see that the while loop syntax is a bit different than the for loops, because in here we put only one condition instead of 3, and the repeating pattern for the loop we put down here. Let's practice a bit more with them. We can try some more complicated stuff now. So now we are going to create a while loop that's searching inside an array for a specific element, and if it finds it, it prints the element's index, and if it doesn't, it says not found. So we'll have a const that's it's named elements. Let's put some numbers inside on a square bracket. Then we'll need a variable that we're gonna start looping the array, and we'll start from 0 because, as we said, the computers start from 0, and this is element 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let index equals 0. Now we'll start our hypothesis as let found equals false. I will explain why we do this later on as we write the code. So right here we just put a flag to indicate if the element is found. We've done this once before, but it will make sense pretty soon. And here we start the while loop and we say while index is smaller and not equal, because we start counting from 0, than elements dot length. We've done this before as well as a logic, and we'll put double end sign. We can write here found is like if this is true, and by putting in front an exclamation point we say if it's not found. So if found is false, so it will start running the loop anyways because we assigned found as false, and then we say if elements, and inside we'll put the number index, this one, triple equals. Here we can search for 7, okay? So let's assign this to a variable. We can go const target equals 7 and we'll replace this with target, and we'll continue here. Found equals true. So if it finds that any of the items is 7, element is found, and we set the flag to true, and then we just console.log your element exists, hooray. After the if we go index plus plus, and then when the while loop is done we go outside and we say if not found, so if found remained false after searching the whole array, console.log what you are looking for doesn't exist. Let's save. Yeah, over here I put console comma log, it's console.log. So let's save again. Your element exists, hooray. So if we are looking for number 11, that doesn't exist, and we save now, boom, what you're looking for doesn't exist. If you are wondering why we didn't console log this right here by writing else, it's because if we do that, it's going to search the first one, and if the first one doesn't match, it's gonna start printing what you're looking for doesn't exist, and then it's gonna be looping. You can actually try it. So now we'll have it 5 times here printing, because every time it looped it didn't find it. And even if we put here 3, that is the second item, we get what you are looking for doesn't exist once because it ran here and it printed that, and then we got what you're looking for exists, hooray, and it stopped there. So this is why we kept this one outside after the loop is done searching, so we get only printed once and we don't have confusing stuff like that. We're gonna try a couple more of while loops so we get familiar with the syntax and the logic, because it's kind of different of what we are used to. Now we're going to take a string and convert it into an array. So we'll have a string here, const input string equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're gonna do something that sounds weird. We're gonna split the string by commas to create an array of strings. So we do this by setting a new array, let string array equals input string dot split. We've done this before. And inside, we just put a comma on a string, of course. So let's see what that does. Let's console.log string array and save. Now you see what the difference is. The difference is that this string was all of this one string. Now that we split by commas, it made each number an individual string. And if we had here, for instance, 10, we see it as 10 down there as well. So if I had the array divided by spaces instead of comma, yeah, and I press save here, you see that it remained one thing, and I would have to put a space in here and then it would work. Hopefully we understand what we did right in here, and I'm gonna turn it back to commas because it makes more sense. And by saving, we see that we are back to splitting the array into an array of strings. And now what we have to do is to change all these strings and turn them back to numbers, because now they are not numbers, of course, they are strings as we see down there. And this is finally the time that we are going to use the while loop to achieve that. Let's name yet another array. Let number array equals an empty array. We'll say let index equals 0. We'll start from 0. And while index is lower than string array dot length, what are we going to do? Of course, we're gonna get the number array and we do dot push what we want to push inside from the string array, the given index, so the given number. For instance, when it's 0, this one, the number 1, and when it's 1, number 10, when it's 2, number 2, and blah blah blah. But if we run it like that, it's going to just put them as strings again. We've done this before, how to turn strings into numbers, and we use the parse int. It's called parse integer. This word I couldn't pronounce. I will put inside brackets right here, and then we go, of course, index plus plus, and towards the end, to check everything, we're going to console.log the number array, and we wanna delete this one so we're not gonna be confused. And we see here finally that we have all our numbers without strings, and we have an array of numbers finally. So once again, we took this whole string that was numbers separated by commas, we've split it to individual string numbers inside an array, and then we took this array and we stripped all the double quotes and we created finally an array of numbers out of just that. So we needed the while loop to get out of here all the numbers one by one by one, strip them of the strings and put them inside a number array. Could we do this with a for loop? Of course we could, but let's try one last lesson with the while loops. We're going to create a small game here that we're going to generate a random number, and then our visitor on the site is going to try to find this number. Let's say we generated randomly number 50. If you try and you say number 20, it will say you are too low, and then you go higher. And if you go 60, it will say you're too high, so you have to go lower, and blah 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 until you find it. It's a small game that exists somewhere in the web. So let's build that with while loops. We'll go generate a random number. This is how we start, because every time you play the number, it's gonna be changing. Yeah, const random number equals. So here we're gonna try math.random, and let's console log the random number to see what's going on. So every time I save here or every time I refresh, we get a random number from 0 point something until 0.9, but we have like a million decibels as well under the comma. Let's say that we want to simulate from 1 to 6, a 6-sided die. Yeah, what would we do is that we would take math.random multiplied by 6, and now when we save, we're gonna get a number from 0 point something until 5 point something. So if you try it a million times, you will see that it works like that, 0 point something until 5 point something. So what we want to do is stop the decimals, and we already know how to do that. We can go in front, math.floor, and we put the whole thing inside. So now we get numbers from 0 until 5 because it's dot floor. So if we go dot ceiling, that we've seen that before as well, finally we get numbers from 1 until 6. So if we want to generate random numbers until 6, this is the way to do it. Until 10, you just change this one, and if you try it a million times, you will find that it goes from 1 to 10, and this time we want until 100. So this is how we write it in the code. And don't forget to save here, and then by refreshing you can see that we can get totally random numbers from 1 until 100. So this is the first part that we managed to generate a random number from 1 to 100. Now let's create a function. What it's going to do? So the function actually does the whole game. Basically, I'm tired to writing the explanation, but I'm sure you get the point. And we go function, let's name it guess the number. Very boring name. I think find my number is more exciting name. Every time I tell you to write me in the comments below something, you never write me anything anymore. I don't know why. So let me know if you found a more interesting name. We open parentheses and curly brackets. So we'll go let guess that it's going to be what they guess, and then I'm gonna say let attempts equal to 0, because we want to track how many times they attempt to guess, so they will know. Now we're going to do something that we've never done before. We're going to use a do, and we're going to put inside guess equals prompt, and here we're going to ask them to give us their guess. Of course, we already know that what we're going to receive is going to be a string. We're going to do guess equals number, and inside we're going to put guess, and we're gonna get attempts plus plus, so it's gonna be attempt number 1 when they do this. And now we say if guess triple equals random number, we're going to send an alert with a backtick this time in here, because we already know the backtick syntax. WTF, you guessed right in $, curly brackets, attempts. It's gonna give the number of attempts, and then we're gonna say also attempts. Else if guess is lower than a random number, we'll send an alert that says too low, just like your IQ. Let's try again. Then we can go else, or if you want to actually define the condition, you can go else if guess is larger than random number. We're gonna send an alert too high, just like your cholesterol levels. Try again. What happens if the input is not a number? Because some people might start writing something that's not really a number. If is not a number, opening parentheses, guess. So we're checking the guess that they put inside the prompt. If it's not a number, we will send an alert. That's not a number. Please enter a random number. This is what we wrote in the alert. So we start this do all the way until here. And then we say while guess doesn't equals a random number. So this is a different way to create a while loop. That's why I wanted to show you this example. And in the end, the only thing we are missing, supposedly, if we don't have any errors in here, is to start the game actually. Is actually to run this function. So we go, what was it named? Find my number. So we'll go here, find my number, and we just run it. Let's press save. Guess the number between 1 and 100. I guess 50, right in the middle. Too high, just like your cholesterol level. Try again. Okay. 25, too low. 40, too high. 30, too low. 35. We found it in 5 attempts. Let me know in the comments below how many attempts you took to find it. I already know nobody's going to bother writing me comments because I'm forever alone. So this thing works actually. And now the game is done, so we don't get any alerts after that. I wanna see that if we write something randomly, that's not a number, please try again. All right. And I want to try something else as well. How do I? Oh my goodness. Cancel. Okay. 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 Oh, we're lost inside the loop. Anyways, so I want to write also another one. I want to write also another if guess is larger than 100, to send a different very friendly alert that says your number is above 100, please try again. Let's save this. Let's close this broken page and open with live server again. So if I put here 5000, so the problem here is that it's checking first for this thingy. Because the program reads like that, it satisfies this condition. So it's reading first this else if. So we can put this one way higher. Now we save it and we open with live server the HTML again. And if I put now 5000, you don't even understand the game, do you? All right, very nice. What else we can check here? We have a function here that's called find my number. How can we turn it into an arrow function? We can just say let find my number equals, and we delete all this including the function, and we put in here equals. So one way is like that, and we run find number down there, and if I press save, close this, and we reopen it, it's still working properly, yeah? And if I put 5000, blah blah blah. So this is how we would run it with an arrow function. That's an anonymous function. We just assign the function inside a let, yeah? And we run down there classically, normally. I show you this because I promised we're gonna start using this syntax to practice as well, yeah? And actually, if we delete these comments, so it's always better to start naming most of the things that are not gonna change with const. So this is a better way to do it. And what we are going to try next is to change the phrasing here. Instead of do and while down there, let's delete. We're gonna see how we can phrase it with a while up there, yeah? So we can say while true, we open brackets and we'll close them down there. We'll have to be very careful with all these things. Let's double check. While it's this white line until here, perfect, no errors. So while true, guess equals prompt. We keep everything like that, and we just have to define where to stop the while loop, because now it's running, and it never stops. So we go right here, but we say else if guess triple equals random number, and in here we say break. And this actually is the condition that breaks this loop. So this is another way that you can break out of the while loops. I like this method more. I don't know why I never use the do. This is a more common way to phrase things, but don't forget to put break. If you start running a while loop that the condition is always true, don't forget to put a break somewhere, or it's gonna be looping for eternity, yeah, and we don't want that. So by saving this, let's refresh this one. Guess a number between 1 and 100. 50, too high. 25, too low. 30, too high. 27, too high. 26. We found it in 5 attempts again. So this works, yeah? And then, boom, it breaks or whatever, and we are free out of the loop. I just did a final test to see if it's working. Let me know in the comments below if you like this exercise. It's a fun game and creative way to get familiar with while loops and see different examples and different syntaxes and all the logics we can follow. And I hope you liked the lesson. It was fairly easy, hopefully, I guess. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't subscribed already, and consider to start writing some comments under my videos. And yeah, so I'll see you guys on the next one.